Thank you so much. Brother Robert already introduced my family. And yes, we have known each other for a long time. I graduated in 2003, and I think he graduated a little bit before me, so a little over 20 years now. And so long time, almost half a lifetime, especially for me. And so my in-laws are here with me today, Darren and Tina, and then Darren's mother Anna is there, and then Kelsey's younger sister Abby, then her other sister Melanie, and then their husband, her husband, not there, but her husband Conrad. And so, yes, and we are in the field of Argentina. Y'all have actually been supporting us since the almost very beginning, one of the very first churches that actually supported us and have helped us over there in the field. And so since we were coming up here for our church's 100th anniversary, we decided to visit some of the churches to give an update because it has been a while since we've been here last. And so then we just wanted to go ahead and give you all that updates here of the field there in Argentina. Of course, that is the obligatory first family picture that we have had. And so that's the first one that I think that we had with Eliza there. And so just we're sent out of Metropolitan Baptist Church there, and then in Lake Worth, Texas, our pastor's Brother Bujak. We actually just voted him, I think a couple of months ago. I'm not exactly the exact date, but
It's been
several months, but not a year yet. But yes, but we just he's been in there not too long. I'm really bad with time and stuff. I always say, "Oh, it's just recently," and then Kelsey says, "Oh no, it's been a lot longer than that." Or sometimes I'm like, "Oh, no, it's been a lot longer." She goes, "No, it's been recent." So whenever it comes to time, don't ask me about that. Just some demographics of the country of Argentina. It is the last census that they did. They have a population of 48.5 million. And of that, you can see the breakdown as far as the religions and everything. The majority of the folks, about half the country's population, they do claim to be Catholic. But that is a bit misleading because whenever they will do the poll and then they will ask somebody, well, what is your religion? They will say Catholic, but the majority of them never do what the practicing of the Catholicism. Very few will actually go to Mass or any of those things, especially in the big cities. More of that you see in the interior part of the country, but they say that that is more of what my ancestors have been. And so then a lot of them are not what you would call practicing Catholics. But if a majority of them, if you ask them, well, what is your religion, they will say Catholic. And then really the biggest number that they have that is growing is there's the non-religious, as you see there on the screen, is 39.8%. That is, you do see a lot, especially in the capital city of Buenos Aires. In Buenos Aires, about half the country's population is in the capital city and the surrounding area. It has about 20 million people there in that area. And there's where you will find the majority of the people that say that they have a non-religious affiliation, and they really have no interest whatsoever as far as having a discussion about any form of religion or anything like that. If you go into the interior part of the country where we're at, there they will sit down and listen to you, because a lot of them, they will say, well, we have respect for all religion. And so then they will basically sit down. Now, who knows if they really are paying attention to what you're saying, but they'll basically sit there and let you talk for a while with them and then let you basically say your spiel, but they really have no interest in actually making a decision or even almost responding to what you have to say. Also, they have a very large population of Jewish population there. Outside of Israel and New York City, they have the third largest Jewish population anywhere in the world. Oh, over here. And so there, as I said, we're in the province of Corrientes. There you can see the population breakdown that it has. The province itself has a population of 1,197,000 inhabitants. The capital of Corrientes, which they're very unique in with their names. They have the province, and then the capital of that province is the same as the province. So it's kind of like we live in Texas. that our capital city would be Texas City type of thing. And so then that is what they do as far as the capitals of their provinces. And there it has a population of 423,000. We did put in here these other two cities because those are cities that we are currently working at right now as well. Saladas, which is about an hour and a half away down south from Corrientes. We have two contacts of some ladies that are living there, and what they're doing is they're going to Corrientes an hour and a half one way, then an hour and a half back for church. And so we're wanting to see there about getting something started. Then also we have another couple that they contacted us. What happened is that a missionary was there. He started the church, and then he left, and then everything blew up, and then the majority of the people even quit congregating. And they were still wanting to congregate, and they said, well, there's no church for us to go to now. And so then they are 3 hours away, and so then we are going over there and having Bible studies there with them. So to give you a breakdown here, we're over there in Corrientes where the star is. Saladas, as I said, it's about an hour and a half drive, and then Mercedes is 3 hours south from there. On Saturdays, what I do is every other Saturday, one Saturday I do it over online, and then the other Saturday I go over there in person. So we drive down 3 hours south over there, Mercedes, and then 3 hours back. For Saladas, we're going there every week over there almost, which we're going to be starting up. Now in Mercedes, they have a big thing called Gauchito Gil. One of the things that you have to realize is that with the Catholicism, paganism is very prominent in with the religion. We don't see that much with the Catholicism here in the States, but over there, what happened is, especially whenever you study history, that when the conquistadores, the Spanish conquistadores, came to the Latin American world and South America, what they did is that they said, oh, well, you're already worshiping our God, you just have it under a different name. So basically, they still kept with the same paganism, they just changed the names of the idols, and it's still under the same type of paganism. One of the biggest aspects of the paganism that they have is this thing called Gauchito Gil, which started in the city of Mercedes, that we are going over there. And there what they have is that this character, they say that he was a Robin Hood type person, that he was stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, but in reality he was just a thief. And how the folklore goes is that the police captured him, and because he was a murderer and a thief, they gave him capital punishment. And then he said, well, if you murder me, then I will come back and give favors to the people. And they said that one of the police who executed him for his crimes, that his son was sick, and then he started praying to this guy, and then his son got better, and then there was the miracle, and then that's how it all started. It's even becoming international because a lot of the Argentine celebrities and others even worship this stuff, and so then you are seeing it grow. A lot of times what you'll see here along with that is that guy Gauchito Gil, he also worshiped what they call Santa Muerte, which is basically the Grim Reaper. That they actually worship death in there, and so then you'll see that always commonly with that. You'll see many times that they have a big type building that's painted all black with black flags and everything, and then that's where they go to worship the thing there on the right, which is the Grim Reaper, and then they have a Gauchito Gil. Most of the times you will see that simultaneously together. And they will go over there and give their offerings and things. This is in Mercedes where that they have that big shrine over there. Especially around November. We were one time driving through there in November, coming back from Buenos Aires, and it's outside of the city limits of Mercedes, about 15 minutes away. There were so many people that normally it takes us 10 minutes to drive through this area. It took us about an hour because there was so much traffic on the side of the streets and so many people, a lot of the cowboys and others, because there's a very big agricultural area. They go over there and then they come here to worship this. The government actually is even constructing a big area for them to even do this, because here they're doing this on the side of the road, and so the government says, well, that's very dangerous to be doing that, especially how y'all pull over and everything. So they're actually using their tax dollars to build them a full complex, so that way they can go over there and then move their statues and worship and do all of that. Another big thing there in Corrientes is that they have what they call the Virgen de Itatí. Also with a lot of these Latin American countries, you will see that they have a distinctive name for the Virgin Mary, because they say that the Virgin Mary did manifestations. In Mexico, it's very prominent, the Virgen de Guadalupe is what they call it. In Honduras, it was called the Virgen de Suyapa. And then here in Argentina, they call it the Virgen de Itatí. And then the town of Itatí, it's about an hour and a half north of where we are. And then many times they do these big pilgrimages. Just right before we came, they had a big pilgrimage where they had a lot of people in, because over there they use a lot of horses and even horse-drawn carriages and stuff, that they were doing all of these big pilgrimages over there to do all their worshiping and stuff. Here's some pictures here of Corrientes. There in the area they have, it's right up on the river. This is what they call their costanera, that whole street there. That is one of the big attractions that they have over there. Right across from the coast over there, they have another province called Chaco. And what happens is that all the people over there from Chaco, they come over there to Corrientes to come over and take advantage of what they call the beach area of the river. I don't know why they want to do that, because they have piranhas in there. And so I said, well, if you have piranhas in there, you never would catch me going in there. But they, especially during the summer months, which we are going into summer, their summer months are opposite than ours. So right now, we're going to have the hottest time over there is December, January, and February are the hottest months. It can get anywhere to 105 and 106 degrees. So because it gets so hot, everyone wants to go over there to the river. And then they all say, oh, well, Corrientes, it has a natural type, beach type setting. And so then they go over there and then they swim in piranha infested waters, which you'll never catch me doing that. One of the churches that we were helping, this is Brother Raul Fernandez. He was trained by a Bible missionary. And so then they were very discouraged whenever we come across him. He's even at retirement age. And the biggest problem is that he had a very limited amount of training. So then they have asked us many times to even help them. He asked me to go over there and preach on a regular basis over there at his church. And even with that, he has asked me, would you train several of the men here in our church? So these men here, I'm discipling. These three men are Juanjo, Jorge, and Carlitos. I meet with them every week for about an hour and a half to 2 hours on Tuesdays. And then do pray for especially the Juanjo with his family there. He lost his job about 2 years ago. And one of the things that has made it very complicated there in Argentina is the inflation crisis. Every month there in Argentina, they will lose about 15% of the value of their money. So you have to think of this. If you put money into a savings account, that money has 15% less value the following month. So then it is impossible almost for you to do any form of savings. They had last year, for the physical year, they had an inflation of 110%. Because the government is printing so much money. The government has printed so much money that you could take their bills, do 87 round trips to the moon and back, leaving a trail of their money. And the government is even printing more. The government ran out of paper, even ran out of money to pay for the printers. The government went out and got a loan to be able to buy more paper and print more money. They're having their elections October 23rd is when they're having their elections. Right now, the one who's leading the candidacy is a libertarian candidate that what he says is that we need to dollarize the economy. Almost anything of value, they put a dollar price on there. Homes, they don't want it in their currency. If you want to buy a home, you have to pay it in dollars. If you want to buy a vehicle, you have to pay it in dollars. Because that's what they have that maintains value. Nobody almost wants any of their money. The truckers are even saying that they're having a hard time whenever they have to take loads to the neighboring countries there in Argentina, because nobody wants to take their money that they can't even buy food for themselves. So if they go into a restaurant and they have their money they can't get anything because everyone says, no, your money has no value. And they can't get dollars because the government is trying to pay off a loan with the IMF that the government only allows them to exchange $200 every month. So of their currency that they have, if they want to go and save it in dollars, which keeps more of a value, the government will only allow them to exchange $200. If they want to exchange more, they have to go what they call caves, which are clandestine, they're illegal basically, and they have to go over there and exchange the money. Tucker Carlson recently went to Argentina and he did a whole interview there of this candidate and also showed of how that their value of their money is just dropping very, very rapidly. So then because of that, the people are really suffering. One of the ways how they try to do that is that they buy everything in bulk because they say, okay, how much money we have now? All right, let's immediately go to the grocery store and we're going to spend all of our money and buy everything we can for as much food that we can get for this amount of money, because if we don't go today, by tomorrow the price will already change and we might not have enough money. And so then they're having this aspect of the hyperinflation. One of the candidates who, as I said, is a libertarian candidate, he wants to do away with their money and go there with the dollar. The problem is that a lot of the political elite don't want to do that because then they will lose a lot of their power there with that. And so then it's a very critical time. We don't know if it's going to cause a lot of unrest there in the country. One of the other people who's running for president is a current economic minister. And it's so funny. He says, well, I'm not part of this government, but you're the economic czar. How can you not say you're part of the government? And he is even giving more social programs to try to buy the votes for the people. But now they've gotten to such a point in time that now whenever they even say that they're going to give these social programs, it already loses value of their money. Last Thursday, in just one day, they had an inflation of 10%. So in one day, they lost 10% of their value of what they'd be able to buy. So then Wednesday, you'd go to the store, and then they had all this price, and then Thursday, it lost value. By Friday, it would cost 10% more. You have to pay 10% more of your money because it was lost value than what it was Wednesday. So because of that, the people are in a very critical way for suffering. Juan, who had lost his job, and over there, they have, even with the businesses, they have 163 taxes that they have to pay. And then especially, a lot of the people who work there, the government has all of these taxes that you have to pay for employees. So then what they do is that they pay them what they call on the blacklist. That basically means that I'm not going to put you on paper that you're my employee. I'll just pay you cash under the table, so to speak, so that way then I don't have to pay all these taxes. Majority of the country works and operates that way just because a business owner says, well, with as many taxes I have to pay, if I don't do this, and if I try to put everyone what they call legally on the system on paper, I won't be able to survive. So then he lost his job because they have the big economic downturn. And being that he is 46 years old, nobody wants to give him a job because they say you're too old. They do not have age discrimination laws over there. So he's had to do carpentry work. His wife went to go and study to be a doctor. So she got a job at the government hospitals. She worked there for 4 months until the government paid her. Because they said, oh, you have to do all of this bureaucracy paperwork in order for you to get your money. 2 weeks ago, they finally paid her. So she was having to work for a total of 4 months without receiving a penny. And so then, and a lot of the people work that way. I'm going to show you a picture of some other ladies that one of them's a nurse, another one is a teacher. And because of even of their money, the government is not increasing their salaries according to the inflation. Even the retirees are hurting very much. Brother Raul, who I mentioned, he was a school PE teacher for the school system for over 30 years. When he retired 3 years ago, he was receiving close to $800 a month in their currency. Today, because they have not increased his salary with the inflation, he was receiving $75 a month because of so much of there with the inflation. And it has it for them that they don't even know how that they're going to be able to get food. That's the biggest thing, is that they're having an aspect with that, especially a lot of the retirees. because of this aspect with the inflation. So do pray for them and also for their growth. Jorge, he has his own business where he does metal work, and then Carlitos, he basically sells stuff. I mean, I think that guy could snow to an Eskimo. He's so good at selling stuff. And then you have Enoch. He is also a teacher, but he's a teacher for the private school system. They just recently had a baby. Even to give you more of an understanding of how things work there in Argentina. When they have their child in the hospital, they're in Argentina, you have to do the birth certificate and you have to immediately work to get the national ID for your child. So then their child was born. The next following day, they had to start doing all of that paperwork, and they're in the hospital. They have a government person who's supposed to come and do all this paperwork. They're supposed to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So he was over there near the area of the hospital, and then the person did not show up at 8. They didn't arrive till 9:30. They arrived there and they said, we're only going to do the paperwork for one person. So then they did the paperwork for one person, and they said, you later on have to go to the offices in downtown to do all of your paperwork because we're not going to do it here. And that's what a lot of the government employees do. One of the other aspects, not only your social programs, but they have over 2 million people having a government job. And what the majority of them do is they show up, work for an hour, then close up shop, and then go off and do other things. And because they have a guaranteed income, and it's almost impossible it is impossible to fire them or to get rid of them, then they don't do any work. And so whenever you go do anything as far as bureaucracy-wise, it'll take you a long time to do anything. Whenever we had to do our paperwork for the tunnels, who were, I think y'all met Jared and them, so they just recently arrived over there in March. Whenever we had to go to the government offices to do anything, I always took a book with me. And Jared goes, why are you doing that? Well, they don't allow you to be on your phones or anything like that. And I said, we're going to be sitting there for a long time. We had an appointment to do stuff at 9 o'clock. We would not be seen sometimes till 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And you have to be there right at 9 o'clock to say, I'm here for my appointment, because if not, tough luck, they're not going to help you if you're late. So you got to be there. And then what happens many times, you can even see it, the government employees are over there playing around, doing other stuff, not wanting to help you, even dinking around on their phones, and then they'll help you whenever they want to. And if you complain, then they won't help you at all. So then it really is a very frustrating experience whenever you go over there. So Enoch and his family, and then the young man right there, Matias, I've also been discipling him. One of the other things that we do over there in Corrientes is that on Sunday mornings we go to the parks, and then we have Sunday school over there. Because one of the ways how we're trying to still figure out a way how to reach the people. Whenever we first arrived, we were giving English classes, and they would arrive for 2 to 3 classes, but I don't know if they thought that they could learn a new language by osmosis. But whenever they realize, it's going to take a lot of work to learn another language, they would quit coming. And so one of the things that we have noticed that does give a little bit better results, especially that we can start putting a foundation at a younger age, is with the kids over there at the Sunday school areas there in what they call the plazas, in their parks. And now a lot of them don't stay with us, but sometimes what does happen is that they go away, they get off in the world, but then they realize, hey, I remember that I was taught stuff in Sunday school, and then they come back to church. An example of that was Carlos. Carlos, he went over there with the Sunday school, he got away out of church, and then when he got married, then he started coming back over there, and now is very faithful over there to church. So that's one of the things that we also do try to do, and then plus try to get the families there with the kids. Here is the entrance over there to Mercedes. As I said, over there they have these statues of Gauchito Gil all over there in Mercedes. And then here is Dario and Paola, that over there in their home, that I go there every other Saturday there to have a discipleship and then basically a service over there in their home. They constantly invite people over there into their house. We've had several people visit, but they just don't want to stick around or anything. One of the things that is sad is that over there in Argentina, you do see a lot of what the prosperity type gospel movement over there. And the thing is that they constantly focus on how that you can be rich, but they do not have any emphasis whatsoever on the gospel. Even if you go over there and ask people, well, what to you is the gospel, they'll say, what? They've never really even heard of that word or anything like that. But they do have a misconception of what Christianity is. And a lot of them, they think, well, I should be able to come over here and just have a magic bullet for all of my problems to go away. And majority of them, whenever they come to the churches, that they go, well, I want to have some sort of miracle healing, some sort of miracle thing to immediately happen, so that way I can just snap my fingers and then everything will be better. And then I do a lot of counseling and try to give a lot of help to them. I say, well, it's not something overnight that you can change. You've had a lifetime of choices that have gotten to this point. You're going to have to do a lot of consecutive different choices if you want to change things. But do pray for Dario and Paula. They are getting discouraged because they have invited people and everything. They were excited when I started going over there 2 years ago, because they just had nobody to be able to help them grow, nobody to even offer to do any form of Christian fellowship. They're over there all by themselves. So we are praying to find a way how that we can try to get something more started over there. They're very desirous of it just because they feel very lonely out over there. So do pray for them. Here's Saladas, the other town that we're working in over there. The two contacts that we have are Flavia and Lisette. Flavia, over here on to the left over here, she is a teacher, and she says that over there, they have the highest suicide rate of young people in any of the towns in Argentina. They're in Saladas. The average age of suicide over there is anywhere between 14 to 15 years old, and she works a lot with the kids. And she says there is a great need, especially here with the kids, because they have the highest suicide rate for the young people than any other area there of Argentina. Lisette, she is a nurse over there, and she has a lot of contacts via with that. But one of the issues, as I said, is that they have to have 3 jobs in order to make ends meet, even though they're not married, they don't have any kids. She, as a nurse, for 8 hours of work in the emergency room, they were giving her $8 for 8 hours of work. Right now, the government says, well, we're going to increase your salary. Before the recent jump in the loss of peso, they were going to give it what was equivalent to $5. Well, now that $5 is going to be about $2 of increase. So now she's getting roughly around anywhere $9 to $10 just for an 8-hour shift in the emergency room, and then that's it. That's hardly enough even for them to get their food and everything. So then because of that, they're all trying to find how they can get somewhere to 2 to 3 different jobs. And what she does is that she goes to different towns and she does this laser hair removal treatment. And so then the people who can't afford it, the rich people, they do all that stuff and everything, and that's one of the ways how she can try to make ends meet. But more than anything, do pray for especially the believers, because they are right now at a critical point that they're saying we are not even able to have food. Several of them, we've had to help them out by even going and buying food, because they've contacted us and they says, we won't be able to eat this week just because we went over to basically the Sam's Club or one of those things that you can buy in bulk, and we bought everything and we've already used up everything and we don't have enough money. So do pray for them, because they're in that really critical stage. This is the area that we have rented over there in Saladas to meet in this small little, it was a clothing store, but as a lot of the things have happened, they've closed up over there. So they have a lot of these buildings that are vacated. And then this is where we get together and then have our meetings over there in Saladas to try to get some people going. We've gone over there, we've done tractor distribution, but we have yet to see any results over there. So do pray for us as we continue working out over there. This is our first meeting that we had there. One of the other things that people do remember a lot about Argentina is the cuisine and the food. Steak is a big part over there. Now for them, it has gotten insanely expensive, but for us, it's very cheap. Ribeyes over there are $3 a pound. So, and that is a big thing for them is asado. So one of the things that we do a lot is that we invite people to come and eat over at our house. And then we many times do this, what they call with the asado. And for them, it's gotten to be a treat. It used to be something that they did all the time, but just because of how the economy is, they can't do that. But this is a typical thing that they have there with the different cuts of meat. They do have a lot of the sausage and several different types of squashes. Now that stuff over here, I don't know if you can see it there at the laser, but that's dark sausage in the very back over there is blood sausage, what they call morcillo. That I draw the line. They always want to offer me that, and I go, I will not eat that. Thank you, but no thank you. I'm no interested in eating blood sausage. One of the other things, too, that is very unique to South America is what they call mate. It's a tea drink. We have an example of it over here on our table with the cup and the straw, and then also with the herb. And what they do is that it's very common whenever you're getting together to have a fellowship time and talk with people, that they'll put that herb in that cup, and then they'll pour water over it, and then they will pass it around with everyone, and then they share and as they talk. And they do have a bit of rules of comportment with that. You'd never touch the straw and move it around. You will be excommunicated if you do that. That is a big no-no. And whenever you're done, you finally say thank you. That means that you don't want any more. But they do get that, and then they pass it around. Our kids love that, especially Eliza. She'll drink that stuff up. So part of our goals, we do have a plan to continue to attract distribution. Thankfully, Brother Jared Tunnel, he brought a container of his things. And so then what I did is I said, okay, well, I have all of this tracts, all of these Bibles that I've been trying to get into the country. I didn't have enough room on my container, but I said, we're finally going to get all of this stuff into the country. It did cause us some issues because when his container came in, they held it up because they saw the literature and they go, well, this is not have an aspect of a moving. So they unloaded his container and investigated everything, and then when the head people there of the government were looking at that, and they saw that it was literature material, and whenever they saw that it was not for sale, they said, well, technically, we could charge you a very large fine. We could charge you a tax. They said, but because it's religious literature and because you have it on there that you will not sell it, then we're just going to let it on through, and then we're not going to do anything. Now, the customs broker that we had, he says, I still suggest that you give them a little bit of a bribe, just to make sure that nothing goes off without a hitch. So then we did that. The government over there is extremely corrupt. If you don't want to give bribes, you will sit there for forever for your paperwork and stuff to get done. If you want to get anything done, you have to go over there and give a bribe. It's very funny. The government took down a statue, but they had a guy do a big building that he himself wanted to just have to give to the city of Argentina for them to be able to use for a sports complex. And it was something that he was going to donate to the government, and he paid for the construction and everything. But even with that, the government officials were asking for so many bribes that what he ended up doing is that he put a statue with the backward hand like this, to basically tell the people and insinuate, this government is so corrupt that look at the bribes that I had to pay in honor here for y'all to have this thing that is free. Even during COVID, Lionel Messi, which is their most famous soccer player, he bought a lot of those respirator machines, and he sent them over there, and they told the government, use them. The government says, no, we are not going to use them unless if you pay us such and such $1 million bribe. And he says, no, I'm not paying a bribe because I've already given you and I'm donating the machines. To this day, those machines are still in port because he would refuse to pay a bribe. And so then that's the type of instances and things that the people have to deal with. So do pray for that tract distribution that we have to do. We're still praying for more Bible studies and more people to be able to get more of a basis with things. Also, we are hoping to get more discipleship with other folks going and everything. And we are wanting to assist further the pastors over there in Argentina. Thankfully, even with a lot of this literature that we had come in, We are sending quite a bit of that over to other pastors that they're wanting to do a tract distribution and other things like that. One of the big critical things that they have too as well is that they're in need of Bibles. All of the bookstores there in Argentina, whenever you go there, especially the Christian bookstores, they don't have anything on the shelves. And then you go and ask them, they go, well, why aren't there Bibles here? No, they says, well, the thing is that the government is holding up to 8 containers of Bibles that we have over there. And, of course, they're not letting them come out because we refuse and we don't have the money to pay for the bribe. So since we don't have the money to pay for the bribe, they're just sitting over there in port, and so then they don't have Bibles. And so many of the pastors have been saying, we need Bibles. That was the first thing to went away. We still have some New Testaments and other things, but they're still saying we need more of this material. So then we're very quickly getting rid of all of that stuff that we had there. So do pray for that, especially how that we can help more of those pastors there. And then, of course, just pray that we can see some more churches starting, some more solid things going. It has been a bit discouraging for us. We've been there for 7 years. And of the 7 years that we've been there, we've only seen 2 people accept Christ. We've had a lot of conversations with people and everything. We've even had a lot of people come and start with Bible studies. But the moment it comes down to the aspect of the nitty-gritty of the gospel and telling them you have to make a decision, they quit coming. They don't want to continue on with that. So do pray for us, because I especially have just been telling Kelsey, I feel so discouraged because I don't know if I'm spinning my wheels and just, it feels like we're in a rut, and then our tires are just burning out and we're not getting any traction. So do pray for us that we can either find something different that we need to do or find a way how we can reach them even more. So any questions or anything? Yes?
Not a question, but I just wanted to mention, you might mention the Umbanda.
Oh, yes. One of the other things that has been growing over there is a religion that they call Umbanda. It really has been around for a long time, but what it has been is become more out in the open. That what they do is that they go to the parks and they actually do animal sacrifice. Before they would do that late at night when hardly anybody was watching, but now we've been seeing that they're becoming more and more brazen, that they're doing that more and more out in the open. And the reason why I think the reason why they're doing that more is because the people are in such a critical place economically that they're trying to grasp onto anything for any form of help. And especially, one of the things that we've tried to help here and there with that, but the things that we don't want to create a dependency. And we also don't want somebody to just be coming to church just because I'm getting free stuff. And the moment I quit getting free stuff, well, bye, I'm not going to be coming back. We want to make sure that they're coming for the motivation that I need to get forgiveness of sins and I need Christ. But that is one of the other things that is growing a lot. You'll see the Gachito Hill. You'll see a lot of the prosperity places filled to the rim just because the people are so desperate for something to change because they're so bad straits economically.
With the economic situation, how's that affecting you and your supporters?
Well, thankfully, it has had it to where, because it is not as quick as whenever we get it and this stuff, we have basically been at the same level with other things. We have seen an increase for us in the aspect because worldwide after COVID, they had an inflation that everything has gone up. But for them, it's gone like triple or four, because here in the States, everything has gotten more expensive, and obviously that's going to affect our prices even down there. But you have the inflation worldwide, then the inflation because of the bad management and the inflation for them, it makes it more critical. For us, we've been basically the same level as we were even before we got there, just because we have the dollar, thankfully, with that. They do have a candidate, as I said. He's a libertarian candidate, which would be the first time in 100 years that they've had anyone with any form of libertarian leanings, because they've been socialists for over 100 years. And he's the first candidate that has ever said, I want to do away with 164 taxes that we have. I want to only keep 8 in place. And he said of the 43 different departments of the government that we have. He says, I want to get rid of them all, except for 3. And so then, of the 2 million people that are working right now for the government, he wants to reduce that workforce to anywhere from 300,000 to 200,000 people working for the government. And so then, obviously, those people are not going to be voting for him because they want to keep having their gravy train going. But even for them, it's starting to get critical just because of the whole aspect of with the inflation. It's affecting everybody except for the super elite and the super wealthy. And you